Good morning. We're back to working on a planner today. So I guess it's afternoon now. I had some stuff this morning, but yesterday I did my planner recap video and all that stuff and didn't really show you what I was working on, but I got the rest of this wing taken apart. I got a couple of more meters washed and put back together. I was able to get another row and a half washed this morning before I had to go, and so we've got stuff kind of ready to go. We need to clean the rest of these meters up as much as we can, and we can start putting the openers and everything back on these rows and start putting that back together. So that's what I'm working on today. In my recap of this planter yesterday and the what and why and how it's better and everything, I missed one critical component that a couple of you guys called me out on and noticed, and you were right, and thank you. But see that big cylinder right there and that one right there? Those are important. That is a very, very good feature that we did not have on our old planter, and what that is the frame weight distribution cylinders or package or kit or whatever you want to call it. But essentially, that cylinder presses down on here and it pushes the wings down, and it transfers weight from the center mainframe of the planter where we have all our fertilizer and our seed and puts it out here on the wing where we have nothing. We don't even have markers. And so I got the question of, do I need to add weight to the wings? No, I do not. A lot of times when they take the markers off, they put a weight bracket on there and hold weight because you have to have so much weight to keep the units in the ground. I do not, because we have that cylinder that's going to transfer it and push it out there. Is it going to be too much weight in the center of the planter having the extra tank that I'm going to put on here on there? Well, this is very, very beefy, overbuilt. It is not uncommon for them to have two tanks on them like what I'm trying to do. It's something I've seen over and over again. In fact, some planters, instead of a 600-gallon tank, they put an 850-gallon tank on there. So we're not really that much different than that to start with. So no, it's not too much weight, but also we can move it. We can take that weight and transfer it off of the center and put it onto the wings and help spread everything out, which will help our pinch rows. So wanted to point that out today. That is a big deal that is going to help us out quite a bit. So anyway, I'm going to get to work washing meters and putting stuff together. So let's go. All right, I got another. It's a row and a half. It's a meter and then another meter and then the brush belt and stuff. Anyway, we got those all washed up. I'm letting them dry. While I let them dry, I'm reassembling some stuff over here. We're putting some row units back together. A couple of days ago, you'll remember we were finding these broken knives. There was 3 in a row, all on the right side that were broken. That one was not, but this one, and that one were. The next, I guess I shouldn't say all of them. The next 3 I know for sure are fine. And I've got them all apart. I didn't take those knives off, but I didn't see any that were actually broken. We did have something with this row, though. Let's see. So here's what most of them look like, right? We've got some wear and some rust, but everything kind of wiggles and moves, or what it's supposed to. And it's not perfect, but it's fine. Now this one here, when I got to it, this knife was extremely rusty, caked on, like. What the heck happened there? You can see this seed tube guard is all covered in rust. The bolt is terrible. The inside of these opener blades were very rusty compared to others. And what happened was, well, there was a rock, right? This is the thing everybody asks. What about a rock getting stuck in there or mud? Well, this one had one. And so that gauge wheel hadn't been turning for who knows how long. I don't see any abnormal wear where it looked like it had been stuck in one spot for a long time, but it wasn't turning, and therefore the fertilizer was not going where it was supposed to and splashing all over stuff, and that's what happens. So I do know that the guy who ran this planter, the farm that it came from, was a seed corn grower over in West Michigan, and so I would assume they were running some very high rates of fertilizer through their 2x2 openers and in furrow here. So where it had issues like that, we've got some problems. And so that stuff's all going to have to come apart and get cleaned up or replaced before we put it back together. And I mean, it got everywhere. It got on the adjustment bolts up there, even these bolts up here. That's the only row that they're like that. Like those ones are perfectly shiny, but not there. So anything painted is in good shape. The paint worked, but if it wasn't painted, boy, it rusts quick when it gets fertilizer on it. So, yeah, I mean it's a little disappointing, but it is a used planter, and those things happen. So, what are you going to do? That's why we're going through it, and we're making sure everything is right. We find these problems before we get to the field. That tire's in the way. I've got everything back together, except for I can't get that pin in to lock the conceal knife. I can't reach in there to wiggle it and push on the pin at the same time, so I can't get it lined up right. It's proving to be quite a challenge. Oh, finally, I was able to get the pin lined up. Oh, now what did I do with the clip? Oh, there it is. Okay. I have made it to this super rusty one. I'm going to take this seed tube guard off. These are a little different than the other planter. They've got a bolt here that kind of holds them on there, but they need to be able to move and wiggle just a little bit, I think. This one does not at all. It's quite rigid. So, what are the chances? What are the chances that I get that bolt out of there without breaking it? Very, very low. It's 10 millimeter. I got a wrench on it. I should probably get a 6-point socket. Oh yeah, oh, that did move. Oh man. I put some blaster on it, PB blaster, to try and dissolve some rust, but I have a feeling I'm going to snap this one. Although it's turning, it might actually go. Wow, I'm almost shocked. I am shocked. Look at that, it actually came apart. It might even be salvageable. We'll see about that, but now we're gonna get that off of there. Oh, let's not lose all those spacers. Oh, we're gonna have to work at this one for a little while, I think. I got it. It took a bigger hammer, but I got it. The shank seems okay. We'll clean that up good. I don't know about this. I'll clean it up, but we may just get a new one. There's very little wear. They're not worn, just rusty, covered in rust. So, the problem if I clean it up is that the rust-proof coating is gone, and so it's just going to rust up tight again. And I don't know. We'll see. I tell you what, I did okay. We got that cleaned up. I'm gonna put it back on. I may regret it in a year, but we're gonna put it back on. I put a little Never Seas on there to keep things from seizing up, and she looks fine to me. So I even got the bolt cleaned up. We're gonna put it back together. Okay. Well, we got that road put back together. The one that was all rusty. I got things cleaned up pretty well. That one knife was broken, so that's the fourth one that we're gonna have to replace. I also washed 2 more meters and brush belts. I don't want to put them back together when they're wet, so I kind of just am doing 2 at a time, setting them out to dry, and then once, I'll come back tomorrow morning and they'll be dry, and we'll put them together, and we'll do 2 more and let them dry for a few hours, and then we'll do some more. And it kind of slows me down, but it's okay because I don't like the repetitiveness of it anyway. So we've got 8 of them washed, which means we only have 16 more to do. That's just like a normal planter. So we're getting there. I got 2 more on this wing to do. I got 2 more rows to put back together. But everything looks okay on those. It shouldn't be too hard to do. It is after 5, so I am going home. But we're making progress. It's a little slow, but that's what happens when I have half days, right? I didn't get started yesterday or today until after lunch, and just can't get a lot done. So we're getting there. Thanks for watching this week. Next week, things are going to pick up, I think. The weather's starting to turn. It's going to be super cold tomorrow for the middle of March, end of March. But then next week, up in the 50s, 40s, 50s, and decent, maybe some sunshine. We might be able to get some clover seed spread middle to the end of next week. We might probably start treating beans the end of next week. So my plan is to let the cold weather go through tomorrow, and then Sunday or Monday turn the heater on in the seed warehouse so things start warming up and we can treat beans. I do still have more commitments and meetings and stuff going on next week. Tuesday, I've got a guy coming to go do some sales calls with me. Wednesday, agronomist Wade's coming up to do some plot planning and trial planning stuff. So we've got that kind of stuff to do too, but we're going to keep working on this. Hopefully Brock will be around a couple of days. He can work on this. But yeah, I don't think we'll get to top dressing wheat next week. I think it's still just a touch early for that. The wheat has not started growing and greening up, so I'm not in a big hurry there. But that's coming soon too, so plenty to do. There's no shortage of things to do. So anyway, thanks for watching, everybody. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't. I would very much appreciate that. And we will see you next week. Enjoy your basketball games this weekend.